Can I have your attention, please? Thank you all for coming. I would just like you all to come here. I do welcome President of the Republic of Slovenia, who just entered the room. He will be your keynote speaker. And I would like to thank you all for being present at the afternoon panels. I think we all enjoyed discussions which were very stimulated with great speakers present. But before I give floor to our keynote speaker, Dr. Danilo Turk, our president, I would just kindly ask the manager of the Sol Group, who is sponsoring this reception, to address this audience.
Thank you. Dear Mr. President of the Republic of Slovenia, dear Mr. Prime Minister of the Republic of Albania and the Republic of Kosovo, dear Minister of the Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Slovenia, dear Foreign Ministers, dear Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure and honor to be able to deliver a speech here. It will be a short one. Last year I had one just before dessert during lunchtime, and then everybody skipped the dessert. So this time they said you have to do it in the evening reception. So BSF Group is the company acting in the renewable energy business, in solar photovoltaic business. We are now established in more than 5 countries besides headquarters here in Slovenia. It comes from the United Kingdom, Belgium, France, Italy and Germany. We are approaching 100 million euro of yearly turnover and employ more than 350 employees. Our sales is to more than 22 countries worldwide, and probably we are one of the very rare companies in the solar business which after 9 months or 8 or 9 months of the year still manufacture or produce, operate with profit. So this gives initial guidelines of my intention of my speech. So I have to use this opportunity within Blade Strategic Forum, which is indeed the forum that we are passionately supporting now for already 3 years in a row, and which is every year bringing more and more participants, high-level participants from all over the world to discuss strategic issues that decide or somehow dictate our vision. In this respect, I would like to say that we see our vision of the future in a way of tackling water and food supply. And next to it, we see environmental changes that are issues of tomorrow and even today. And today we have to decide whether we are one of those who believe that climate change is not a reality, or we are one of those who believe that it is a reality but there is nothing that we can do about, or we are hopefully from the majority of the group understanding that it's our commitment to balance environmental changes. And with that, I think we have to make a clear decision to support renewables, to support our efforts for the industry to be able to develop itself, to further reduce the costs, to become competitive to conventional energy sources, and to somehow be able to redistribute the money within the energy business. And with that support from all of you, I think we can secure ourselves long-term future. I wish you to enjoy the rest of the evening, to have fruitful debates for tomorrow, and I hope we will see each other again next year here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Uroš Inerc. I knew it was a good decision to have BSOL as a sponsor. Immediately the sun appeared after rainy days. Now it's a great privilege and honor to welcome our keynote speaker, the Honorable Dr. Danilo Turk. Please.
Thank you, Miriam, for the introduction. Distinguished participants of the Blade Strategic Forum, Prime Minister, Ministers, Excellencies. It's always a great pleasure to come to Blade for the Strategic Forum, both for the natural environment of Bled and for the stimulating discussions here and for the very original introductions by Miriam Muzgan. I would like to inform you, those of you who haven't been present in previous meetings, that at one point She even provoked her then minister to speak about her pay raise. I'm not sure whether that has happened so far, but Minister, I would like you to know that this may well be a good idea to think about, or perhaps act on it already. I was asked today to speak about general topics that were on the agenda of the Bled Strategic Forum this year, and they relate to the situation of Europe in a globalized world. And I would like to share with you a few brief and simple thoughts about this very important subject. And I'm sure that during your discussions you have gone in great depth of this question and related questions. Now, obviously, Europe, when one talks about Europe today, one thinks primarily of the European Union, the key player in Europe, a large area of 500 million people, great market, great creative and productive potential, but one which is also currently involved in rather difficult discussions about its own structures, about its own identity, and about its own future. So at present, the European Union is not able to play a legitimate role that it would otherwise have, given its strength, given its location, its history, and its potential. This is why I think we all, not only Europeans, have to think about this as a phenomenon of this time and something that requires new solutions. I do not wish to deal with this in any length, but I would like to say that obviously European Union has first of all to put its own house in order. Now what exactly that means is not entirely clear because there are competing visions about what needs to be done. I myself do not belong to those who believe that a very ambitious concept of a European federation or a European state is a realistic option for the foreseeable future. Europe has to choose between vision making and problem solving, and I think problem solving is a much more promising path. We have enough vision in Europe, but what we really need is problem solving, solving problems which relate to the otherwise difficult system of Euro, a flawed system, I would say, one which needs repair and one which needs repair quickly. Slovenia is a country which is currently suffering from some of the problems that have actually characterized the Eurozone for the last 2 years. We have problems of our own, but we are also victims of the flawed system of the Euro. And the Euro system has to be repaired, it has to be developed further into something more adequate. The path forward, in my opinion, leads through a banking union and potentially later through a fiscal union. Now, putting Europe's house in order is a difficult task, but much time has been spent already, and I think that this coming month will be important for the European leaders to figure out which solutions might actually work and which solutions have to be put on the agenda with a view to taking definitive decisions. Problem solving and putting the house in order. This is the first condition. The second condition for the European Union to play a stronger role in the globalized world is that it has to refrain from preaching. The European Union has been used to be proud of its unique system, which is a system of economic and social relations, which are excellent and which could serve as an inspiration to many other areas in the world. But sometimes the impression was created that the European Union is very quick in giving prescriptions, requiring from others the ways in which the others have to implement human rights and other universal values, and that has created a great deal of resentment. We have to be honest about that. And if we look today at the discussions in the United Nations, we can clearly see that European Union countries very often find themselves in a minority when dealing with the human rights questions globally. So there is something to be changed in that regard. And I think it would be very wise on the part of the European Union to look at the agenda of human rights anew and look at the priorities in a way which would help global cooperation and global improvement. Some of the priorities in the area of human rights are relevant to countries in the immediate neighborhood of the European Union. We in Europe have followed with great excitement and expectation the changes in the Arab world, known under the name of Arab Spring. As things developed, we now see the complexity of the agenda and the need to think really very carefully about what it means to ensure a solid, stable path towards full implementation of human rights in that part of the world. I believe that one has to rethink the order of priorities in which we Europeans are used to think about human rights. Perhaps this is not the time to deal with civil liberties in an exclusive way. One needs to take very careful look at the economic and social rights in areas affected by change and into possible and practical instruments that need to be put in place in order to help. This is our immediate neighborhood and we have to be serious about it and serious about the ways in which Europe, a rich and affluent part of the world, is expected to help. The third area of thought which I believe is important for the European Union today is the question of how well we are putting our strategic priorities together. Are we sure that we have the right hierarchy of priorities in our policy making? The European Union, like most other actors today, act in a mode which cannot be described as proactive or strategically thought through. Very often we react rather than act on the basis of a clear strategic vision. And therefore I think an effort is needed to figure out how the priorities should be set. I have said on several occasions, and I would like to repeat today, that I believe that priority number one for the European Union needs to be its eastern neighborhood. This is the area in which the cooperation has to intensify. This is the area in which the European Union has to look for its improved strength. And this is an area which should be priority number one in the strategic vision of the Union. Of course, there are other priorities and one can talk about them, but I think that the European Union is lagging behind when it comes to Eastern Partnership, and things have to change. Things have to be improved. Now, I have expressed a few brief thoughts, which is really a very superficial sketch of something that needs to be given much deeper thought. And I believe that this BRIT strategic forum is one of the places where such thought can be given to the agenda of Europe today and the needed activities to make its role, to change its role towards the level which it deserves and which it should play in the future. Europe has an enormous potential, not only in terms of its actual power and its potential power, but also in its normative sense. The European Union and Europe more broadly is a well-developed normative system. And looking at the world for the future, we can clearly see the advantages of a norm-based international community such as the European Union has always supported. Is the European Union at present prepared to play an adequate role in fostering such a norm-based global international system? Probably it would be too much to expect anything quick to happen in the near future. But on the other hand, this is a long-term project which needs to be taken seriously and one where the contribution of the European Union can clearly be significant. Let us not forget about that. Norm-based societies are usually much better than power-based societies. We have abandoned, we no longer live in a bipolar world, which was a world based on norms created by power and directly affected by power. We are developing into a multipolar world where power can again be the decisive element in rulemaking. But then the world should keep in mind the lessons of previous centuries and understand that multipolar world can also be a rather unpleasant world, and norms will be necessary. And in the norm making, in norm creation, European Union will have to play a role. In order to be able to do that, Europe, as I said, has to put its house in order, has to make it possible to use its potential to the full, and has to be modest in its dealings with others. These are some of the thoughts I wish to share with you this evening. They are not necessarily sufficiently optimistic for the rest of the evening, but I'm sure that optimism will come to this gathering from other sources. Therefore, I wish you a nice evening, have a good time, and continue your discussions with the necessary vigor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President, for this for your thoughts. It was really inspiring, as always. And it's also, dear Minister, once in a lifetime thing that a president asks for a raise on my behalf. So what's it going to be? I know, a bad idea. I do hope you will enjoy the reception. Don't forget, we have a night owl session later on in Hotel Golf. So enjoy and thank you.